Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6 in the King James Version reads, Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. This is a familiar passage which many of us in our youth were given to memorize. Several years ago I found myself digging into the Hebrew text of this passage in order to understand more clearly one specific word on which verse 6 hinges. That is the word translated here as acknowledge. The English word acknowledge conveys for me two things. First, acknowledge means to recognize someone or to recognize something as true. And then second, acknowledge can mean to publicly communicate that recognition to others. In the context of this passage, the one I recognize is the Lord. He is the one in whom I trust, the one who is present and guiding all my ways. And I don't keep that recognition to myself. I share with others how God is so working. At the time I embarked on the study of this verse, one popular Christian teacher of that era suggested translating it this way, In all your ways make him known. The situation I was dealing with at the time was an opportunity to do just that, an opportunity to make Christ known to those who did not yet know him. I had received a public honor from the deaf community that I served, and my challenge was to properly deflect that honor to the one who rightfully deserved it, namely God. It was that need which motivated me to examine this verse in Proverbs, and as usual, what I found surprised me. So let's take a look. We go to BibleHub.com/interlinear, click on Hebrew Interlinear Chapters, select the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, and scroll down to verse 6. Here's the sentence that we want to examine. Again, Hebrew reads from right to left. The interlinear translation offered here closely matches what we just read in the King James Version. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Here's the word that we're after, da'ehu. Let's unpack it by clicking on Strong's Concordance number above the word. The dictionary form of this verb is yada. Its core meaning is to know. And when we peruse the 942 verses where yada appears in the Old Testament, we find that yada means to know someone intimately or to know something well. The grammar code below this verb in Proverbs 3:6 supports translating da'ahu by that core meaning. Used here in its imperative form, a command, know him. So now I read this passage as, In all your ways know him, and he will direct your paths. This actually makes more sense to me. If I want God's wisdom as to which path to take, what actions to take, what to do, I need to know him well, know him intimately, know his mind, learn his will, understand his ways, even feel his desires. In all your ways, know him, and he will direct your paths. And there's one more word we need to check, and that's the verb in the next phrase, yasher. The interlinear translates this as shall direct. But the grammar code below this word alerts us that it can be properly translated, he shall direct. Then we notice that for emphasis, Solomon inserted the pronoun phrase wahu, and he, immediately before the verb. And he shall direct your paths. So let's take a look at this verb yasher and discover the gold that is hiding there. We click on Strong's Concordance number. The root form of this verb is yashar. It is used in the Old Testament to mean to be straight or even, or make right, pleasant, or prosperous. Again, scanning through the verses where this verb appears in the Old Testament clarifies this meaning of yashar, to be straight or even, to make right, pleasant, or prosperous. So let's stick this understanding of yasher back into our English translation. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, know Him, and He will make your paths straight, pleasant, and prosperous. That's a good promise, isn't it? And we do need to remember that what is good, pleasant, and prosperous in the kingdom of God can be quite different and distant from the world's measure of pleasure and prosperity. When we are in the center of His will, we are in the best place we can possibly be, regardless of surrounding circumstances.